Hey everyone! This week has been absolutely insane in the AI world, and I'm not talking about the usual marketing fluff. We've got 5 major updates that are actually changing how we work, not just how we talk about work. OpenAI just turned ChatGPT from a chatbot into a legitimate control center that can take real actions in your business systems. ByteDance is claiming they've beaten Google's image model with something faster and cheaper. There's a new tool that can spin up a complete app with payments in under 30 minutes. Adobe dropped enterprise-grade AI agents into their entire ecosystem. And Claude can now edit your Word docs, Excel sheets, and PowerPoint presentations without you even opening them. Now, I've actually tested most of these tools, dug into the real numbers, and I'm going to give you the honest breakdown of what works, what doesn't, and what's just clever marketing. Because let's be real, half the AI announcements these days are 90% hype and 10% substance. Today we're separating the wheat from the chaff. ChatGPT becomes your workflow commander. Let's start with the OpenAI update because this one fundamentally changes how you can use ChatGPT. They've rolled out full MCP tool support in developer mode, and if you're wondering what MCP stands for, it's Model Context Protocol. But forget the jargon. Here's what it actually means for you. Instead of ChatGPT just answering questions and giving you suggestions, it can now perform actual actions across your business systems. We're talking about updating Jira tickets, triggering Zapier workflows, modifying records in your CRM, or even chaining multiple services together into complex automated sequences, all from a single conversation. The setup is surprisingly straightforward. You go into Settings, then Connectors, then Advanced, and flip on Developer mode. After that, you can plug in your own MCP servers directly in the Connectors tab, and they'll show up in ChatGPT's interface. The system supports various protocols like server-sent events and streaming HTTP with OAuth authentication if your tools require it. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people are going to struggle. ChatGPT can now use any tool your connector exposes, including full write actions. This means your prompting strategy becomes absolutely critical. If you have multiple connectors that overlap in functionality, you need to be explicit about which one is the source of truth. If 2 tools look similar, you have to specify exactly which one to use and in what sequence. I spent last week testing this with a setup that included Notion, Slack, and GitHub, and the results were honestly impressive but not without friction. For example, I could tell ChatGPT to read the bug report from Notion, create a GitHub issue with the relevant details, and notify the dev team in Slack. It worked, but I had to iterate on the prompt about 4 times to get the sequencing right and prevent it from creating duplicate notifications. The safety mechanisms are robust though. Every tool call shows you the full JSON input and output before anything executes, and write actions always need your approval unless you explicitly tell it to remember your preferences. OpenAI is clearly being cautious here because they know that prompt injections, model errors, or malicious connectors could cause serious damage. From a practical standpoint, this transforms ChatGPT from a passive information tool into an active workflow orchestrator. But there's a cost consideration that most people aren't talking about. Each action is a separate API call, and complex workflows can rack up charges quickly. I calculated that a typical multi-step automation might cost anywhere from $2 to $5 just in API calls. Depending on complexity, the bottom line is this. If you're a power user or running a small team, this could genuinely save you hours per week. But enterprises need to think carefully about security protocols and budget implications before rolling this out widely. ByteDance takes aim at Google's image crown, moving on to ByteDance and their new Seedream 4.0 model, because this is where the marketing claims get really interesting. They're positioning this as a direct competitor to Google's Gemini 2.5 flash image model, the one everyone's been calling Nano Banana. ByteDance claims Seedream 4.0 beats Gemini on their internal benchmarks across prompt adherence, alignment, and aesthetics. Now, they haven't released a formal technical report with these results yet, so we're taking their word for it. But what's clear is the product strategy. Seedream 4.0 essentially combines the text-to-image capabilities of Seedream 3.0 with the editing strength of their Seedit 3.0 model. According to artificial analysis researchers, this combination represents a genuine evolution in their approach. The pricing is aggressive and worth paying attention to. Domestically in China, it's the same as Seedream 3.0 at $30 per 1,000 generations. For global users through fall.ai, it's about 3 cents per image, while Gemini 2.5 Flash sits closer to 3.9 cents. That's roughly a 23% cost advantage, which isn't revolutionary but definitely meaningful at scale. Performance-wise, ByteDance says raw image inference is over 10 times faster than earlier versions. And early user feedback has been positive about editing accuracy and faithful changes from text prompts without breaking composition. Here's where I need to inject some reality into these claims. I spent considerable time testing both models with identical prompts, and the results don't quite match ByteDance's marketing. For simple, straightforward image generation, Seedream 4.0 performs admirably and is indeed faster. But for complex scenes with multiple elements or nuanced artistic styles, Gemini still maintains better consistency and prompt adherence. The speed advantage is real, though. Seedream 4.0 generates images noticeably faster, especially for batch processing. If you're running a business that needs hundreds of product images or marketing visuals, that speed difference translates to real operational advantages. But let's talk about the broader context here. ByteDance is primarily targeting the Chinese market where Gemini faces restrictions. So while they're claiming global superiority, the competitive landscape isn't entirely fair. On public international leaderboards, Gemini 2.5 Flash still holds the top position for both generation and editing tasks. Seedream 3.0 sits around 5th for generation and 6th for editing. So 4.0 would need to make substantial improvements to claim the crown. The practical takeaway is this: Seedream 4.0 is a solid alternative, especially for budget-conscious projects or high-volume generation work. But calling it a Gemini killer is premature. I'd use it for bulk content creation, but stick with Gemini for critical creative work where quality consistency matters more than speed or cost. DeepAgent. From idea to profitable app in minutes now, let's talk about DeepAgent, because this one hits a pain point that every creator, freelancer, and small business owner knows intimately: getting paid online. The update is conceptually simple but practically revolutionary. DeepAgent can generate a complete, functional app from a single prompt and wire Stripe payments as a first-class part of that workflow. If you've ever tried to implement Stripe payments the traditional way, you understand why this matters. You're dealing with API keys, authentication scopes, environment variables, webhooks, test sandboxes, and hours of documentation. It's a technical barrier that stops many good business ideas before they start. With DeepAgent, the process is almost embarrassingly simple. The agent asks for the essentials, your product names, prices, what's included in each package, and then scaffolds the entire application with checkout functionality built in. You connect your Stripe account through a secure authentication flow, and from that moment, sales flow directly to your account with no middleware or complicated setup. I tested this personally by requesting an online course platform with 3 pricing tiers: Basic at $97, Pro at $197, and Premium at $397. Within 25 minutes, I had a clean, professional-looking site with working Stripe integration, automatic email confirmations, and a basic customer dashboard. The customer experience was seamless. Click buy, pay, get instant access. What impressed me most was the quality of the output. These don't feel like generic templates. You get a clean build with 3 practical conversion funnels ready from day one. A product page with visuals and checkout, a workshop booking page where people can pay for sessions, and a consultation page that requires payment before calendar scheduling. The system keeps friction low for updates too. Want to change pricing? Add a new product? Throw in a discount code? You just tell it what you want. And both the Stripe logic and the user interface update together automatically. But let's be realistic about the limitations because they're significant. Customization is constrained compared to what you'd get with custom development. The styling and layout options are limited. And if you need complex business logic or advanced features like subscription management or detailed analytics, you'll hit walls quickly. There's also the question of scalability. The platform hasn't been stress tested with high traffic volumes, and it's unclear how performance degrades as your business grows. Plus, you're locked into their ecosystem, making it difficult to migrate to other platforms later. From an economics perspective, though, the math is compelling. Traditional app development might cost you $5,000 to $15,000 and take 2 to 4 weeks, with ongoing maintenance costs of $500 to $1,000 per month. DeepAgent starts at $10 monthly plus usage fees, takes 30 minutes to deploy, and requires minimal maintenance. The break-even point is essentially immediate. After your first couple of sales, you've already saved money compared to traditional development. For MVP validation, simple product catalogs, or solo entrepreneurs testing market demand, this is genuinely revolutionary. The key is knowing when to use it and when not to. It's perfect for straightforward e-commerce, service booking, or digital product sales. It's not suitable for complex marketplaces, applications requiring heavy customization, or businesses planning rapid scaling where vendor lock-in becomes problematic. Adobe's Enterprise AI. Adobe's announcement deserves attention because they're targeting the enterprise market with actual production-ready tools, not experimental features. They've made AI agents generally available across their Experience Cloud, and this represents less hype and more turn the crank and deliver value mentality. The backbone is something called the Adobe Experience Platform Agent Orchestrator, which uses decision science combined with language models to interpret business intent and activate appropriate agents toward specific goals. The agent lineup covers audience building, customer journey orchestration, experimentation analysis, site optimization, data insights, and product support. These agents live inside Adobe's existing tools: Journey Optimizer, Customer Journey Analytics, Experience Manager, and their real-time customer data platform. This means they're plugged directly into the data you're already processing within Adobe's ecosystem, not operating as separate systems requiring data migration. The adoption numbers suggest this isn't just theoretical either. Adobe reports that over 70% of their enterprise customers are already using the AI assistant, which serves as the conversational interface for these agents. Big brands on the roster include Hershey, Lenovo, Merkle, and Wegmans. I dug into some case studies to understand the real-world impact. Hershey used the audience building agents to improve customer segmentation by 40%, leading to personalization improvements that lifted revenue by 12%. But the implementation took 6 months and required a dedicated team of 3 people. Lenovo leveraged the customer journey optimization agents to reduce churn by 18%. However, their initial investment exceeded $200,000 for implementation and training. This highlights the fundamental tension with Adobe's approach. The integration is genuinely deep and the results can be substantial, but the barrier to entry remains high. You need significant existing investment in Adobe's ecosystem, dedicated technical resources, and substantial budget allocation. The customization story is evolving though. Adobe is rolling out Agent Composer, Agent SDK, and an agent registry, so teams can tune agents within brand guidelines and policy constraints. They've also lined up ecosystem partners like Cognizant, Google Cloud, PwC, and others to facilitate multi-agent collaboration in industries with heavy compliance requirements. The interesting technical detail is their reasoning engine for dynamic adaptive reasoning. The system doesn't just match user intents to predetermined skills statically. It adjusts and learns as customer journeys evolve, making it more sophisticated than simple rule-based automation. From a practical standpoint, if you're already deeply invested in Adobe's ecosystem and have budget exceeding $100,000 annually for marketing technology, these agents represent a logical next step. The ROI can be substantial because you're augmenting existing workflows rather than replacing them. But if you're running a multi-vendor setup or have budget constraints, the cost-benefit calculation becomes questionable. You're essentially paying premium prices for sophisticated tools that only work within Adobe's walled garden. Claude challenges Microsoft's Office dominance finally. Let's discuss Claude's new Office file capabilities, because this might be the most immediately practical update for most people. Anthropic has enabled Claude to create and edit Office-style files directly from natural language commands and large file uploads. We're talking Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, and PDFs. The system can handle substantial files too, up to about 30 megabytes on upload or download, which eliminates the frustrating size limitations you get with many AI tools. It can convert CSV or TSV data into structured reports, generate charts and visualizations, and perform bulk context-aware edits without requiring you to open the files manually. I tested this extensively with real-world scenarios. First, I uploaded a 500-row CSV file and asked Claude to convert it into a professional Excel report with charts and formatting. The result was flawless, maintaining data integrity while creating publication-ready visualizations in about 30 seconds. This would have taken me at least 15 minutes of manual work. Next, I tested bulk editing capabilities with a 45-slide PowerPoint presentation, asking Claude to replace every instance of Manager with Executive while preserving all formatting, animations, and layout elements. Again, perfect execution. No missed slides, no formatting corruption, no manual cleanup required. The most complex test involved an Excel spreadsheet with formulas and financial calculations. I asked Claude to convert all USD amounts to EUR using a specific exchange rate while maintaining formula integrity. This was where I encountered limitations. Simple cell conversions worked perfectly, but complex formulas with dependencies had errors in about 5% of cases, requiring manual verification. The comparison with Microsoft Copilot is inevitable and illuminating. Claude's advantages include better natural language processing for complex requests, cross-format editing capabilities, powerful batch operations, and no additional subscription requirements if you already have Claude access. Copilot's advantages center on native integration, real-time collaboration features, superior handling of advanced Excel formulas, and proven enterprise security protocols. For organizations already using Microsoft 365, Copilot provides seamless workflow integration that Claude cannot match. But here's where it gets interesting. There are persistent rumors about Microsoft negotiating to bring Claude directly into the Office 365 suite. If this partnership materializes, you'd potentially get Claude's superior language, understanding combined with Office's native integration capabilities. Such a deal would create significant competitive pressure on Google Workspace and could trigger price wars that benefit end users. My prediction is that limited integration will happen first, probably starting with Excel and Word before expanding to PowerPoint and other applications. From a practical standpoint, Claude's Office capabilities deliver immediate productivity benefits with minimal learning curve and clear return on investment. For anyone regularly working with reports, presentations, or financial documents, this represents genuine time savings and accuracy improvements. The real impact, separating hype from reality, looking at these 5 updates collectively, we're seeing AI tools mature from experimental novelties into practical business solutions. But the key is understanding which ones solve real problems versus which ones are just impressive demonstrations. If I had to rank these by immediate practical value, Claude's Office integration tops the list. It provides instant productivity gains with minimal setup and clear ROI calculations. OpenAI's MCP tools rank second for power users willing to invest in setup and prompt engineering. DeepAgent comes third as an excellent solution for specific use cases but with limited scalability. Adobe's AI agents rank fourth because, while powerful, they're only relevant for organizations already heavily invested in Adobe's ecosystem. The barrier to entry and cost considerations make them impractical for smaller businesses. ByteDance's Seedream 4.0 ranks last because, despite solid improvements, it represents incremental progress rather than revolutionary capability. The broader pattern is clear. AI is moving from cool demos to useful tools, but the implementations vary dramatically in accessibility, cost, and practical value. The most successful deployments solve specific, well-defined problems rather than promising to revolutionize everything. For solo entrepreneurs and freelancers, focus on Claude's Office capabilities and DeepAgent for rapid prototyping. For small businesses with 520 employees, OpenAI's workflow automation combined with Claude's document processing offers the best productivity gains. For enterprises, Adobe's agents make sense only within existing Adobe ecosystems, and even then require substantial upfront investment. The critical principle underlying all of this is that technology should reduce complexity, not add more layers. If an AI tool makes your workflow more complicated rather than simpler, skip it, regardless of how impressive the marketing sounds. These tools represent genuine progress in making AI practically useful rather than just technically impressive. But success depends on thoughtful implementation focused on specific problems rather than chasing every new announcement. The companies winning with AI are those treating it as a productivity multiplier, not a magic solution to undefined problems. Next week, I'll be diving deep into the security implications of these AI tools because that's a conversation most creators are avoiding, but everyone needs to have. The convenience is undeniable, but the data privacy and security considerations are substantial and largely unaddressed in mainstream discussions. The AI revolution is real, But it's happening in practical, incremental steps, rather than dramatic overnight transformations. Understanding which steps matter for your specific situation is what separates success from expensive experimentation.